You're tuned in to the Behind the Scenes podcast with your host, Mann Robinson, the place where educational, motivational, and inspiration collide with innovation. Be entertained while learning from some of the best actors, directors, and producers in the industry today with self-help tips that you can apply in your career. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
So welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, Miriam and Mann. And today's guest is, I don't really know what else to say except for a triple threat. Theater, music, acting. She has it all. She's from Philly. You see her on the TV show The Chi. I explain all that later, but I'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
Okay, so we're live and we're back. I like to say welcome back to the next episode of Behind the Scenes with Mann Robinson. Like I said earlier, I got to say this word. I mean, this is a film podcast, but we have a dope artist this time, okay? And her name is Miriam Hyman, and she is an actress on The Chi. She's done a lot of different things in different networks like HBO, Netflix, and she goes by the name, she just corrected me and I got to do it again, Miriam Robin Hood Hyman. How you doing today?
I'm good. Yes, indeed. It's Miriam Hyman, a.k.a. Robin Hood in the building. How y'all feeling?
Oh, man. We're so happy to have you, man, because we got two. Man, so, music and film are married anyway. You know? So when you got someone who can actually do both, it's a treat all the way around. So I want to ask you a few things to jump it off, if you don't mind.
No, please.
And that is, basically right now we're dealing with a pandemic, and it seemed like that's the new norm. And we've been dealing with it for quite some time, and it's caused by COVID. And you were working on a theater situation that kind of halted that. Can you tell us about that?
I most certainly can. So I was working on a production of Richard II, which was supposed to be performed this summer in New York at Shakespeare in the Park, under the direction of the Public Theater. And it was halted, as you mentioned before, due to Corona. Yeah. So we were scheduled to perform in the park May through June, but because of the current circumstances, we weren't able to do that. So the show was canceled or postponed. And basically, we found out a few weeks later, after it was canceled, that there was an opportunity to do a radio broadcast of the show with the Public Theater in affiliation with WNYC. So basically, starting last night, actually, the broadcast began on WNYC, and it can be heard nationwide. And it'll be for 4 episodes over the course of 4 nights. So it started last night. It'll go up till Thursday night. And it stars myself as a character named Bolingbroke, Andre Holland, who plays Richard. We have Phylicia Rashad, who's in the show as well, Estelle Parsons, a lot of really great, talented folk. We still were able to do Richard, but this time it was for the radio as opposed to us being on stage.
That's what I call innovative. I mean, the show must go on. I learned that back when I was a kid, and
exactly,
you guys are proof. But you have worked with a lot of great talent, and I'm sure when they get interviewed, they talk about how great you are. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I got a secret for you. I'll tell you in a second. But you mentioned Phylicia Rashad, which, of course, that's like our Obama of acting. How was it working?
I actually didn't have any direct scenes with Phylicia. However, I was present when she was rehearsing, and she's just as graceful as she sounds, just as graceful as she seems. Very intelligent, very loving, very welcoming. And I just really appreciated watching her process, because here we have a younger Black woman in this cast and then an older Black woman. And, we have generations in between us. And it was just beautiful for me to see her in her work and to just be so up close and personal, because we weren't able to be in a room together as we would normally rehearse because of COVID. So we all were on Zoom. And so we had about 25 actors that were in this, Zoom rehearsal. And if you weren't in the scene, you were still able to observe. You just had to have your computer on mute as well as your video, not showing yourself so you're not distracting anybody. But it was just really fantastic to watch her work. And I'm sure she is fantastic in every medium because she directs. I know she produces. She has her hands in a lot of things. So it was just really inspirational for me to just see her in her element.
That's dope. So I actually had a chance to meet her last year. And
wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't even work. It was at the Urban Film Festival. And
cool.
She walked through and it was like, wow. And I took her hand and it was like, oh. But yeah, so I feel you. What you're saying, I can only imagine what the work is like.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, we like I said before, we're speaking with someone with dual careers. Is there a point where one passion is higher than the other for you?
I can't say that one is higher. I mean, they pretty much work in tandem in a lot of cases. And so it's a blessing to have, I have multiple focuses. I'm multi-hyphenated like a lot of us are. Like a lot of us have to be to keep those multiple streams of income coming in. Okay.
Yeah.
There's unemployment, it doesn't work for me. So, so I have to get multiple things going on. But basically, yeah, for instance, in a way that they can work off of each other or help to inspire and motivate one another. Recently, while I was working on Richard II, there was a line in the play that I say prior to me about to have a fight with another gentleman that I'm accusing to have been a part of the death of my uncle, which is kind of how the play starts. A murder has just been committed. Okay. So we look at this current George Floyd situation. We were rehearsing in the midst of all of that, in the midst of the protests, the country being on fire, the rioting, the looting, so on and so forth. And I had this one line where I say, "Mine innocence and St. George to thrive." And so I'm basically calling out, saying that before I'm about to fight. And the idea is that whoever wins the fight is the individual who is innocent, who was telling the truth. And so I just thought, wow, I work on a lot of Shakespeare, and I cannot recall at any time my character or another character calling on St. George. And I just thought that it was really incredible that his name happened to be George in the midst of everything that we're dealing with right now. His name, we could have called on any other saint, but it's George specifically. And so with that, I heard that line very strongly, and I went through my kind of like Rolodex of beats. My homeboy Easto produced my entire EP, Alter Ego. And so he just has sent me a plethora of different, instrumentals to play with. And so I kept just hearing that, mine innocence and St. George to thrive, mine innocence and St. George to thrive. I changed the saint to brother. So then it's mine innocence and brother George to thrive, mine innocence and brother George to thrive. Brianna, Ahmad, we gonna keep y'all alive. That ended up being the hook for my bonus track, which is on the EP called Brother George. So they affect one another. Yeah. I don't really know at this point how to do one without the other, whether I'm rehearsing, my lines for Shakespeare, but I'm listening to my EP or some other type of music that inspires me. Like I said, they really work in tandem. And then in terms of the acting, the rhythms that we have with Shakespeare, the poetry, the musicality of it all, my lyricism and my ability to find the beat and be able to and having the ability to ride the beat, I think just puts me in a position to be even more connected with the material. So I don't know if one is higher than the other, because right now I need them both, and they're both pushing me forward, and I'm benefiting from having them both. So I feel like it behooves me to just continue to take full advantage.
Well, I have something to say. So
I'm listening.
I commend everyone who does what they do. I said it in my book. I said it in a lot of interviews. Any one of us that comes from where we come from that make it in any sense of the way, I applaud on all the way around.
Thank you.
The difference between you and I won't say anybody's name that have dual careers. Hold on one second. I lost my screen, but I'm gonna keep going. That have dual careers is that sometimes they might not be able to find that beat,
Right.
like you just mentioned. But I listened to yours. Hold on, you just ignore that right there. So I listened to yours, and you rap like one of the best rappers out.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's because I am one of the best rappers out. They got to get to know me.
That's exactly what I mean. That's my whole point. So I'm listening to the song, and I'm like, it's called Drip Flow. And I understand titles just as much as I understand the flow itself. Mm-hmm. So in that title, it's really the definition of what your style. You dripping with the flow. So
thank you, homie. I appreciate that.
So with that being said, I'm real close friends with Tory Hart and Little Mo and other people from Philly. So after I heard it, I text Tory Hart your Spotify. And Tory's from Philly, and I said he's from Philly. You know how people from Philly, they like, that's from Philly. And say Mac, he told me she knows, she got the eagle. Anyway, so I sent her what she said. Yeah, you must have seen the clip. So she'd be like, yawn. At first she came on set saying yawn, and I'm like, okay, that must be a Philly thing. So then I got it. I know what it is now. John, yeah. Yeah. So I sent it to her, and her text says this, right? You know, Tory Hart is Kevin Hart's ex-wife. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. She said, OMG, I was just watching that show last night, Shy, right? Wow. And I had no idea that she had bars like that and that she was from Philly. Boom.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that.
Boom. There it is. So I want to tell you, thank you for being able to flow, because I love it. I love the beat. Can we shout out that producer one more time for that beat?
Most definitely. His name is Easto, aka Chris Herbie Holland, and he's a beast. He's new, fresh, young dude, and that's one of my closest friends. So he's one of the reasons why I'm in the game pretty heavy right now. He keeps supplying me with the fire, so I got to bring that heat.
Yeah, you ain't got no issue with that. So I plan on riding to that. It's already added to my Spotify. So we
get that whole EP. I'm telling you, from beginning to end, it's a book.
Okay, so we're gonna get back into why and how and what the name, the alter ego, stands for. Right after this, we have to go on break, and we go on what I call the random thought. I'll tell you what it is later, but right now.
And now it's time for Man Robinson's random thought of the day.
So today's random thought. Welcome to the random thought, by the way, is more or less a congratulation and celebration mixed together to Kamala Harris for her VP seat. It's not a seat yet, but she's in for the election, and she is a Black woman. We experienced a Black president. We have a lot of work to do, especially in these days and times. But hey, congratulations to that, to you. Thank you, my sister. Back to the show.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
So, welcome back. Thank you for listening to my random thought. We are back with Miriam, Robin Hyman, and we're going to ask her a question. Do you mind? Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh, no, most definitely. Not at all.
Alter ego. A lot of big stars have them. Beyonce has it. A few other people. Prince had it. Prince's was for a business reason, but he had it. What's up with your alter ego? Where'd you come up with the name Robin Hood?
Yeah. So basically, it's two parts to that. First off, there's alter ego is like the alter ego to Robin Hood, not necessarily Robin Hood being the alter ego to Miriam Hyman.
Gotcha.
Okay. Mm. So as an actor, that's what people know me by, Miriam A. Hyman. That is my stage name. And then my rap moniker is Robin Hood with a Y. So basically, when I was making this EP, I started about a year ago. Actually, I was starting to work on the Shy. We shot for like 5 months. So I started writing this EP then. And basically, it's a culmination of a couple of different things. One, a bond between myself and Easto, because like I said, he did all the beats and then I'm doing all the lyrics. And so within that, I also had a lot of conversations with like label execs, producers, different people to help move your career to the next phase, to the next level. And so within these conversations, a lot of them were telling me the only way that you're going to be able to sell is by your music being provocative. Sex sells. You have to have language, that is provocative, basically. And so I just felt like, how can I incorporate that within the EP so that it helps to show how these songs are developing? So within the EP, there's a skit before every song, and you hear how that song is motivated. It's motivated by that conversation. And it also shows us how a lot of times with artists, we're always jumping through these hoops, but we're able to deliver because we're a very talented, gifted group of individuals. And so, and that meaning Black folk, and so regardless of what we come into the industry wanting to tell, a lot of times that gets changed, that gets shifted because of the people who we end up working with, who are helping to move our projects forward, who are financially in a position to get the music forward, and then B, are in a position to continue to keep the music moving forward, i.e. promotion, so on and so forth. And so that's how the EP came about. It was like, okay, well, with all these different songs, you hear a different sound than you normally hear from Robin Hood. It's usually, my music is very uplifting, and not to say that this is not, but it's just in a different way. It's a little bit more street, a little bit more grit than what you would get from my former EPs. So Truth Teller, which is also currently available on all platforms, and then For Hire, meaning as for a higher cause, for a higher idea of life, higher notions. And so Alter Ego is the alter ego of Robin Hood. So when you listen to all the tracks, you understand why. It's like, oh, okay, now I see her using a little bit more profanity within this EP. She's talking about things that are a little bit more private in this EP. That's what it comes from. In a nutshell.
And the nutshell with you is not going to be a regular nutshell, because first thing I noticed that you said you do a lot of Shakespeare, you're into Shakespeare. And so when you get ready to explain the music side, I expect for it to be just as detailed, and that's amazing. So
I think specificity is key, and I just wanted to add one more little tidbit of information. I'm a voiceover artist as well, so I do that for animation, video games. Steven Universe is one of my most recent projects where I was a voice on that. And then, so the voices that you hear within the EP are all voices that I created. So, some people don't know that. Like, I played this character called Mr. I Don't Care, who is this record label exec, and he's the exec of Screw You Records. So the only character who I don't play is my homeboy Easto, who ends up being on a call with me towards the end of the EP. But yeah, I like to think of it as being very theatrical. And again, it goes back to, both the music and the acting working hand in hand. And then I'm adding this element of the voiceovers. So yeah, you got to use what you got to get what you want. That's what I heard one time.
Yeah, you listen too. Because, I heard somebody say last week last week Pop Smoke album came out. And I think it was Pusha T. He got a little thing going on, but he said that Pop Smoke had a great body of work. And that statement to me, that's what albums used to be, bodies of work. It wasn't just songs thrown in there. And that's what you're explaining. You have a body of work that's detailed.
Thank you.
And it's like a movie, really.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I wanted there to be a beginning, a middle, and an end. I feel like you have to bookend it very strongly, hence ending with Brother George. So I really hope you get into it, man, because it's dope.
I already got it queued up. So that brings me to my next question, and I appreciate you answering these so detailed for the audience.
Certainly.
Because the people that listen, our audience are people who want to be where you are. They could be fans, they could be people who are females, maybe they're rappers, maybe whatever, and you're influencing them now. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. I hope the males too. I speak for us all. I feel like we can learn from each other more and more. Men from women and women from men. Most definitely, we're all on this earth together. Nobody's an island.
No, I agree. I think anybody that listens to them bars is gonna learn regardless who they is. That's my point. So, being a Black woman, so you're a Black woman as well, and Yeah.
No,
yeah.
okay.
You're queening. So we know that sometimes it can be trying, a little difficult, a little bit harder for, black female, but also very rewarding. And right now it's the dopest position to be, black women. I write films and produce films. And just recently, 2018, I was told that I needed to go with a target market, and guess what that target market is? So, yeah. So, how is that though? Did you find it rewarding? Tell us about that. Do you appreciate it in the position that you're in?
Yeah, I find it very rewarding to be an independent artist. As a musician, I think it's fantastic that I have a full autonomy in terms of the message that I deliver. And so I have to be very careful about what I say and how I say it and whom I'm saying it to. So I find that very rewarding. And when my project drops, that's all me. My homeboy Easto, the people who I have aligned with me in order to get my project out there. So it's very fulfilling, to say, wow, I've put out a body of work and I've taken care of the studio time. I've written all the lyrics. Any features that I have on the project, I've established a relationship with them in order, for them to be on the project. And it's the same thing when I'm featured, so I find it extremely rewarding. Just this year, I was featured on a project with Clipping, where their lead rapper is David Diggs, who's also another actor, featured in Hamilton, very talented individual. Emmy award-winning, Grammy award-winning. I know he has a Grammy. I think he has an Emmy too, but if he doesn't, he'll probably get one soon. And also with Sierra, I did a track called Melanin, which dropped right before Corona hit, actually. And it's Sierra's song, but City Girls are featured on it. Lala Anthony, who's, also cast in The Shy, Esther Dean, and Lupita Nyong'o, who's a good friend of mine, and I actually wrote her verse. So it's always rewarding when you're in a position where somebody comes to you and says, hey, we would love to utilize your level of creativity in this project that we're working on. Same as with the acting, it's extremely rewarding to hear comments like from Tony to say, wow, I just was watching the show, watching The Shy last night, and to be a part of a Black story, especially right now in this current climate, to be a part of telling that story is extremely, extremely rewarding. And I know what a lot of people don't know, which is where the show is going in terms of getting to the end of the season. Mm-hmm. So I'm very grateful to be rocking with people like Lena Waithe and Common, and all the other fantastic producers and directors with this show and the cast. It's been really fulfilling to just see episode after episode, how it's all coming together. It was just a lot of unity on that set, and they welcomed me. So I'm extremely, extremely pleased.
Yeah, and so are we as an audience. That's a lot of heavy hitters you rambled off there. And
just a couple,
And you, like I said before, you right there with them swinging. So,
thank you, man.
We have, our age bracket, we have, people following us, and, we have demographics, I should say. And we noticed that, some get to a point and they kind of like give up, and because it gets hard. It does get hard. It's everyday work. So, when you have a 9 to 5, you say, oh, I wish I worked for myself. But people don't realize that when you work for yourself, you work 10 times more than you do just working a 9 to 5.
Real talk.
Yeah, so a lot of people give up.
I'm working right now. People think that this is all fun, and press is a real thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just to say that it might seem like it's all fun and games, and you can have a great time. I always say work smarter, not harder, but trust, you want to work for yourself, you're going to put in those hours because you're every employee. Yeah. You're the boss, you're the CEO, you're the director, you're the producer, you're the crew. You are everything, and you're the talent. You're the product.
Yeah.
So you got to push.
Don't forget that quality control. You quality control too. So
quality control. You're your hype man, your hype woman. You're all of that. You're all of that. So. Well,
this is the part of the show that is the biggest for us that we're going to get to. It is where we give back to the audience and give them a little pointer. So we're going to go on break first, if you don't mind.
No, I don't.
So we're going on break. So we'll be right back with Robin Hood right after this.
And now it's time for Man Robinson's Motivational Thought. Black movie star, motivational and inspirational. Black movie star.
Today's motivated thought, which we call our Black movie star, goes to the Queen, Phylicia Rashad. I had a chance to meet Phylicia Rashad back in New York at Urban World Film Festival, and she was just like she was on TV. She's done a lot of different things, but I think most importantly, not just the work and the characters that she portrays, it's more or less her as a person. We love her as a person, and we cherish her, and she's a legend, and we look up to her, and she is our queen. She is like our actress Michelle Obama. You know what I mean? So that is our Black movie star for today. Thank you. Follow me on Instagram at Man with 2 N's Robinson. Let me know what you think about not only the random thought, but also our Black movie star. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to Behind the Scenes with Man Robinson. We don't just talk about it, we be about it.
So welcome back. That was my Black movie star. We do that every single episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. By the way, Miriam, our Black superstar for this episode was Phylicia Rashad, believe that or not. Okay. So like I said before, this show is a little bit different than most. I know you do a lot of press. This one is kind of like a self-help podcast that we air on blackfilm.com, Spotify, iTunes, and other sites. And we give an opportunity for our talent like yourself to give back kind of a couple pointers. So what kind of pointers can you give young Black women or men that are pursuing this career? I gave a couple a second ago. What else can you give us?
I think that you have to realize that overnight success, it doesn't exist. Even if it appears to be that way, you have to put time into yourself. You have to invest in yourself. And there's a lot of different ways to invest in yourself. And I think it depends on ultimately what is the product, that you're pushing. For instance, if I say I'm a musician, a way to invest in myself is to make sure I'm keeping myself in the studio, to constantly make sure that I'm writing. If this is my side hustle, then I'm taking whatever my main hustle is, and financially I'm putting that in to what the ultimate goal is. So creating a body of work, saying I'm going to work on an EP. A lot of times you have actors say, oh, well, I'm an actor, or, oh, I'm a MC, but they're not producing any work. And so even if you're not booked in a show right now, be it a film or a TV show or some theater, if you're not being featured on somebody else's project, if it's a music project, you can still be working on yourself. Every day you can get up and write. Every day. Mm-hmm. If you have a thought and it comes to you, like for instance, when I mentioned when the Mind Innocence and Brother George, as soon as that came to me, when I saw that, it triggered me. And so, I encourage people we can be triggered in negative ways and we can be triggered in positive ways. And if you allow yourself to be triggered in a positive way, then what can come from that? How often do you wake up and say, what can I get accomplished today? So I think, you have to set goals for yourself and make sure that your demand for yourself is high. That way you're going to be working to the highest standard. You want to make sure that you are completely focused day in and day out on what your overall product is. And you got to make sure you stand for something, because if you don't, you'll fall for anything. So I think it's invest in yourself. If you're an actor and you need new headshots, make sure you're getting new headshots, make sure that you're networking. Networking is a huge part of this business. And some artists, they shy away from it. And I understand, different personalities. However, what's the ultimate goal? What's the ultimate goal? It's not about just getting followers. You feel me? It's not about the clout. It's about the overall product. And so when you have the product, more people are going to be invested in you. They're going to be, streaming your music on Spotify and Tidal and so on and so forth. But they can't do that if there's no product to present. There's no product to offer. So you got to stay in the gym. It's as simple as that.
It is as simple as that. It doesn't work until it start hurting. So that's what I always say.
Yeah, it's like working on your abs, you know? If you did 50 of them and you don't feel nothing, then you need to do 50 more. Plain and simple.
So speaking of that, bodies of work and projects, can you tell us what else you working on? What do you got in the midst? What's going on with you?
I mean, the crazy thing is like right now with this whole COVID situation, a lot of things are kind of quiet. So I have some things brewing, but I just can't say anything at this point because we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to start filming ASAP or like, I mean, I've had, offers for projects and I'm looking at a lot of different scripts, but it's just really challenging right now because we don't know when we're going to really be able to like start shooting. Some projects have started back up. But and then musically, I do have a couple of features that are going to be dropping in the next couple of months where I'm featured on some other people's projects. So I'm really excited about that. So just stay tuned, check out the social media, but your girl is working all day, every day. And
so now you have your EP out. Can you tell the audience where to find it, where platforms that? Most
definitely. So the EP that's currently out is called Alter Ego. It's available on all platforms. So if you listen to Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, whatever's your jam, I'm on it. And it has 8 tracks, 8 skits. It's a really dope EP. And then I also have a couple of other EPs that are available as well, Truth Teller and For Hire. But Alter Ego is that joint right now. So again, all platforms. You can find me on Instagram at Robin Hood Music, and that's Robin with a Y. Also on Twitter at Robin Hood Music and Miriam A. Hyman. So check me out. I'm out here. I'm in these streets.
You in the streets, Philly. Okay, so listen.
Yeah.
So, how when you listen to a dope album or EP or a mixtape, you always go back and get the others. So thank you for watching us, because that's what I'm gonna do after this.
I had to, and then just the next couple of weeks, definitely tune into The Shy. It's a crazy dope season that is upon us, and then also in the next couple of days, check out at WNYC so you can hear that Richard II radio podcast. Well, radio broadcast, excuse me.
All over the place. We love it. Well, we thank you very much. You see, you had me smiling the whole episode because I was really intrigued by your music, and also I already know what you do on The Shy. I already know that. So to have both, and you mentioned that your friend, I forget his name, but he might. No, not the other. The one that he won a Grammy and he might win an Emmy.
Oh, David Diggs. Yeah.
Yeah.
He might have one. I have to double check, but he definitely has the Grammy.
So the company you keep.
And a Tony. That's what it is. He has a Grammy and a Tony. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So he has a Grammy for music and a Tony for
Hamilton for acting. Yeah. But there's music in that. So that's what I'm saying. It works together.
Right. But to excel at both that's the company you keep. So thank you so very much for being so dope and coming into the podcast. On behalf of blackfilm.com, behind the scenes with Mann Robinson, it was a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you, man. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and hope to talk to you soon.
All right. You'll see a follow in a minute.
Love.
All right. See you later.
And you'll see a follow back. Holla at your girl.
See you later.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to